name is Kim Vandenberg, and did you guys enjoy the flyover earlier? So welcome to the Remembrance Ceremony, Pinal County. And we're also going to be recognizing some of our Gila County KIAs as well today. What I'd like to do first is ask Paul Clinton to come up and do the opening prayer.
Almighty above, we stand here with our brothers and sisters as we look downrange at our brothers and sisters that gave the ultimate sacrifice. We ask you to watch over everybody here today, to comfort them and help them in their healing. We ask you to remember that they still have demons chasing them, and we want you to protect them here today, tomorrow, for eternity. We ask you to watch over all our brothers and sisters downrange and those outside the wire. We ask all of this in your name, and thank you for the beautiful day. Amen.
I'd like to call your attention over here to the flagpole. The Tohono O'odham Nation Color Guard will be raising the flag for the ceremony. Those of you that have a Purple Heart, if you would please start the pledge for us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to introduce Pinal County Board of Supervisor, Mr. Steve Miller.
Good morning, everyone. I've been asked to give the welcoming, and I was just informed about 10 minutes ago I was going to do this, so I'm not very prepared. But I can't be too hard to welcome everybody to this great event that we're having this weekend, honoring the men and women that gave the ultimate sacrifice at a time in our country that there was a lot of division. It means a lot. Pinal County loves their veterans, I can tell you. And here's our leader, Kim. I tell you, she is our champion. She keeps us going in the right direction on all of these events, and I can't thank her enough and her group that what they do for our vets in Pinal County. And I thank you all for attending today. And enjoy the day, and God bless every one of you men that have served in the military. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Representative T.J. Shope.
Thank you all for having me. It's a sense of unworthiness to be in front of you today, and thankfulness for your service to this great country. I have a proclamation from Governor Ducey that I'd like to read to you today, that he signed yesterday honoring this event. Whereas it is especially important that the extraordinary contributions of Vietnam veterans and the sacrifice of these men and women be remembered and recognized, and whereas in the spirit of pride and gratitude, it is time to honor the heroic accomplishments of the 58,318 servicemen and women whose names are listed on the Vietnam Memorial Wall. And whereas more than 600 men and women from the great state of Arizona made the ultimate sacrifice in the defense of our country during the war, and whereas the Wall That Heals will be on display from March 7th through March 10th at Dave White Park in the city of Casa Grande, and several veteran and community organizations are working together to support the exhibit, and whereas we hope our Vietnam War families find peace in knowing their loved ones live on, not only through medals and memories, but also in the heart of Arizonans who are forever grateful for their service. Now, therefore, I, Douglas A. Ducey, Governor of the State of Arizona, do hereby acknowledge the community of Pinal County on their recognition of the valiant service and strength of character of all Vietnam veterans. On behalf of my 89 other colleagues at the Arizona Legislature, we say thank you for your service to this country. Thank you very much.
I'd like to ask Colonel Wanda Wright from the Arizona Department of Veterans Services. She is the director and leads the team that serves our veterans across the state.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Pinal County. You know, it always gives me great pleasure to talk to Vietnam veterans. My dad's a Vietnam vet, 3-time tour, and he's still with us today, and deep in my heart, he is my hero. And so when I come to Vietnam veteran events, it just really, I'm very, very honored to be asked to be here today, and I thank you for the time. Today, as we honor and remember those who served during the Vietnam War, more than 3 million Americans served in Vietnam. More than 58,000 Americans, servicemen and women, died in that conflict. So you see, we have a lot of Americans to honor today. At the Arizona Department of Veterans Services, we are proud to be the stewards of sacred obligation of serving our veterans and remembering those who made the ultimate sacrifice for all of us. The state of Arizona and the Department of Veterans Services are partners with the Department of Defense in the 50th anniversary commemoration of the Vietnam War. Arizona is home to more than 180,000 Vietnam veterans and their families. And I put emphasis on families. My mom was an officer's wife, and while my father was deployed 3 times, she kept those home fires burning and her 2 kids going to school and getting up every morning and making sure things happen. So families are very, very important to our vets and to me. We honor and thank all of you and the families of those missing or killed in action. More than 600 men and women from the great state of Arizona made the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our country during the Vietnam War, leaving behind loved ones. According to the Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency, more than 82,000 Americans remain unaccounted for from our nation's conflicts. 1,600 of those heroes served in Vietnam. 15 of those heroes are right here from Arizona. Ronald Lester Babcock, Paul Bates Jr., Ronald Clare, Donald Brown, Robin Cassell, Elliot Crook, Charles Dale, Johnny Godfrey, Max Lukenbach, Michael Miller, Dennis Pike, Lowell Powers, Armando Ramirez, Robert Saavedra, and James Thomas. Let's give a round of a hand for those. 15 of our own sacrificed. The number of prisoners of war and troops missing in action on the battlefield has decreased over time, but that doesn't mean the work is done, or that we should stop honoring those who still aren't home. Whether our veterans are missing from war or the battlefield of life after service, we owe it to them to do a few things. 1, we must continue speaking their names and keeping their legacy alive like we are today. We must provide a support to their families and friends. And 3, we must never fail to explain to our children and to their children why our veterans serve and sacrifice for us, and why, as a nation, we are stronger because of those sacrifices. More than a century and a half ago, the American statesman Daniel Webster penned a fitting tribute to generations of American in uniform, past, present, and future. Webster wrote, "Although no engraved stone bears record of their deeds, yet will their remembrance be as lasting as the land they honored. May God bless you, may God bless America, and may God bless those who still serve." Thank you.
I'd like to ask Mr. Palmer Miller to come up. Many of you, I'm sure, know Palmer. Palmer has been a veterans advocate for many, many years in our area. He is a retired U.S. Army sergeant, and he was recently inducted into the Arizona Veterans Hall of Fame, class of 2018.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you. Good morning. Does this work? Yeah. I want to thank, first of all, each and every one of you for being here and for coming out all this week. This is very emotional for a lot of people, but it's also very uplifting also. Before we start our program, because we have a lot of things we want to do today, is I would like to recognize all our elected officials that came out today. So if you are sitting, please stand. If you are standing, please raise your hand so people know who you are. I was over on the other side here, and with a display, and I told myself this morning I'm going to get here real early and hunt out all the elected officials and write them down, but unfortunately I did not do that. I'd like to also recognize two individuals who are awesome in what they do. Mr. James Sylvester, American Legion District 4 Commander, and also Arizona Veterans Hall of Fame recipient, 2015. I'd also like to recognize Carlos Lozano, the VFW District 10 Commander. Is Carlos here? We're going to give them a minute here to say a few words if they would like.
I would just like to thank everybody for coming out on this special day for Casa Grande and Pinal County in remembrance of all of our brothers and sisters who lost their lives or are still missing in action from the Vietnam War. There's quite a program coming up behind me, so I'll make it short and sweet. And thank you for your coming. Thank you.
Good morning. I too will keep my comments very short and sweet so we can get onto the program. First, I want to thank Kim and all the organizers for this great event. This is really an incredible opportunity for us to show our respect to our fellow veterans and particularly our Vietnam veterans. So I thank you. So really what I really want to share with you all is what we've heard many times before, but I think it's really, really important to reemphasize to my fellow Vietnam veterans, both in country and in the era. Welcome home, comrades.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Jim. I've been carrying around this book, and this is dated. This is back in the 80s when this was put out, about the wall. And I'd like just to read something from it, if you don't mind, as we begin. Dedicated on Veterans Day in 1982, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, or the Wall, as it is commonly known, is the nation's newest shrine, a mecca for the record number of Americans who flock there to commune with the dead and the living, and who leave with a new understanding of the physical and emotional sacrifice of our Vietnam veterans. There's a letter, an inscription, and it says, I purchased this book for two reasons. First, to remember and honor the Vietnam veterans, which I remember the war while I was growing up during grade school and high school. Second, to honor my father and my father-in-law, both who served in Vietnam. My father Palmer R. Miller Jr. served in the Army for 20 years. My father-in-law, Robert Humphrey, served in the Air Force for 20 years. Both went to Vietnam. May we never have to worry about a war like this again. Palmer Rollin Miller III, 1989. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here on this historical day in Casa Grande. I say historical because this is the first time that the wall that heals has visited Casa Grande and the surrounding towns and cities. And I thank every veteran, their groups and organizations that stepped up when Kim Vandenberg said, we have an opportunity before us. Thank you, Kim, and to the moon. An artist friend of mine, a couple weeks ago, I went up and shook his hand, and he said, you know, they have traveled all this way to see me. I had better see them. $58,320 names on this wall commemorates a period in time that we as America, and just my opinion, failed. Not because of the rights and wrongs of the war, but because of the wrongs of how our young men and women were treated because of the war. I agree, as it is written here, that they were victims. And it took years to recognize that. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a major part of the recognition. The wall that heals here and the wall in Washington, D.C. A few years back, I had the honor to travel to Washington with a small group of veterans from Eloy. You see, I had been to the wall already a couple times, but I was pretty excited to go back. The group spent many, many weeks and months to gather their monies, to get together and to go. And I was totally honored to be in that group. But I remember this. As we got off the bus that morning, just down a little ways from the wall, I remember seeing the excitement. I remember seeing the hesitation and the frustration in their eyes. And as we walked up to the wall, sometimes very, very slowly, those eyes turned to sadness and later happiness. They walked along the wall, spreading out, searching for their friends and their buddies, reliving in their minds moments that seemed like a lifetime ago. But let's don't forget, please, those that did return, those that took up their back to their families and made a living and helped America grow. My wife Sharon and I met this great lady one day here in Casa Grande, and she owned an antique store. And one day she introduced me to her husband, which is a Vietnam veteran. And during the conversation, he told me, Palmer, at times I get bothered when people say, welcome home. I've been home since 1969. I've been home since 1969. So today, would you please give every one of our Vietnam veterans at this event, those in your hearts and your minds, and the many that are on that wall, a huge round of applause, please. When I was trying to put this speech together, I'm thinking 58,320. You know, that's 58,320 birthdays lost. But I will bring up a few, like Corporal Orrin Larry Allred, who was from Casa Grande soldier. He was the first soldier out of Casa Grande to be killed in Vietnam in 1965. He was a member of the 498th Medical Company. His assignment was a door gunner. He was married to Pam Hollis at the time, and they had a daughter that was born in May '66 that he never saw. Corporal John Henry Armstrong, United States Marines, killed in Vietnam in 1967, the Tet Offensive in Quang Tri. He was a graduate of Casa Grande Union High School in '64. He played sports and sang in the choir and belonged to the Future Teachers Association. And according to his friends and family, he believed strongly in serving his country. Then there was Specialist 4 Efren Carmona, who was killed in 1968. He was actually born in Mexico. His family immigrated to the U.S., and he graduated from Casa Grande Union High School, and then he went on to Mesa Community College for 2 years. He was a medical specialist under orders to search and destroy. So on that day, they came under fire. His unit came under fire, and when 2 members of his platoon were seriously wounded, he ran, he exposed himself. And he died. Efren's family made a public letter, and he had written as a junior in high school. I'm not going to read it, but the last sentence is this: I hope to finish high school here in Casa Grande, and here is where I will probably spend the rest of my life. Sergeant Dorset Roy, United States Marine Corps, killed in 1968. In '52, he moved with his family to Superior, Arizona. He was killed on patrol. Sergeant Arthur Garcia, also United States Marine Corps, killed in 1970. He lived in Mammoth, and he attended school there. He later joined the Marines, and his brother, Juan Garcia, had enlisted earlier in the Army and was killed in Vietnam in '67. Garcia was on patrol at the A. Shaw Valley when his life ended. Lance Corporal Alan Ingram was killed on September 24th, 1968, and he grew up in San Manuel, Arizona, where he attended the school. His parents would tell stories regarding how Alan would enjoy figuring out how much gas he had in his car and where he would be when he ran out of gas. It's told that sometimes he walked a lot. Then there was Lance Corporal Jose Francisco Jimenez, United States Marines, killed in 1969, Medal of Honor recipient. Jose was born in Mexico, attended school in Eloy, Arizona. Although he was a Mexican citizen, he decided to enlist in the Marines. He would quote President John Kennedy's, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." On August 1968, Jose led his fire team into a hot landing zone near Da Nang. They were attacked by the North Vietnamese. He had a choice of retreating or attacking. He chose to attack, and he personally took over an anti-aircraft gun single-handedly, encouraging his men to fight, and he was killed by enemy machine gun fire. Corporal Patterson William, born in Phoenix but moved to Casa Grande, and he was active in his Scouts and his Masonic Lodge. He excelled in sports during high school and received the Coach's Award for good sportsmanship, and he was killed in 1967. Here in Casa Grande, there is a small memorial of 10 young men that were part of Casa Grande when they grew up. This monument was created by a friend because he missed them. There is a flag and a POW flag now that flies just a few feet away. I give you this quote as told to me by my son yesterday. My son, Staff Sergeant Robert Miller, United States Marine Corps, we got to talking, and he said, this is something that is always said. I will never be above you. I will never be below you. I will always be beside you. The last thing I would like to say is this. I'm proud to say that I'm an Army brat. I grew up in the family of 7 brothers and sisters. I was the oldest son. I saw my dad leave for Vietnam 3 times. I stayed up many nights during the week with my mom crying, worried because she had not heard from my dad for months, and she not knowing. The only thing she could do is sit and watch a black and white TV of Walter Cronkite and Dan Rather talk about it. And she would look intently into that screen, hoping. I experienced my friends in school that unexpectedly would be called out of class by the principal, not knowing anything, and they would come back about a week and a half later, and we learned that their dads were killed in Vietnam. They are on the wall. I cannot tell you their names, but I can only remember those experiences of the 1960s. So, ladies and gentlemen, God bless you. God bless those names on the wall. And God bless our families. And welcome home. I'd like to introduce an individual, well, 2 individuals. I call them my friends. I met them both years back in Solomon at a American Legion Hall. They were doing I believe it was a small stand down, if I'm mistaken. And this gentleman, they both came up on stage and they started playing. And they played this one song, and it just tore me. It tore me up, and I always remembered it. I'd like to introduce Mr. Oscar Urea. He grew up in Morenci. He served in Vietnam with the Army. I'd like to introduce Mr. Stephen Guzzo. He also grew up in Clifton, from Clifton. He went to Vietnam. At the top of Mayor's Bluff overlooking Clifton, fellow veteran Stephen Guzzo created a memorial, which he calls the Long Walk of Freedom. It includes flags, a fallen soldier's cross, and a string of more than 1,800 dog tags to honor all who served. The first 6, those killed among the Morenci 9. I'd like to ask them to step up and perform that song for all of us that they performed that day. Next, I'd like to introduce a gentleman that I've known for many, many years, and I'm very honored, again, to consider him a friend, and we have worked together. He is a friend of all our community, our veteran community, and Vietnam veteran, Mr. Bob Souza.
50 years ago this month, let me back up. Half a century ago this month, I was short time in Vietnam. I had about 45 days left to go. And my CEO would extend that a couple of weeks. And it's been a long time. Everything I've heard today is basically what I'm going to say. So I'm going to try and make it as short as possible. The first time I've been to the wall was Wednesday night. And I have to explain that. I avoided it. I don't need it. I avoided that because I had spent all that time burying a lot of memories. I've heard it was called the wall that heals, but I wasn't too sure. Thanks. And it's a couple days later, and yeah, it does start to heal. You kind of have to, at the very least, pay respects to the people you serve with. You already know how many names are on that wall. One thing that hasn't come out today is that Vietnam was the highest loss of life in, it's the fourth highest loss of life in any war that the United States has been in. First was the, I'm still emotional. First was the Civil War, highest loss. Second was World War I. The third was World War II. Vietnam falls next. Korea falls after that. 1968 was the highest year. We lost a lot of guys then, guys and women. I'm not sure why I'm here today. I was asked to speak, and in saying that, I'm not sure why I'm standing here and I'm not on that wall. October of '68, my company, most of my platoon actually, we lost 11 guys in one day, October 31st of '68. I could have been with them that day, and yet I'm standing here 50 years later. And a lot of you vets, I know you understand that you carry what's, I guess, become known as survivor's guilt. So, first coming back, I thought the Lord had chosen me to be immortal. You wouldn't believe the stupid things I did. Later on in life, I realized, or at least I rationalized, that I was saved for another purpose or purposes. So what I do, I still work, I'm a businessman. I support veterans initiatives. Whatever, if there's something to do with a veteran, I'm involved. I write a check. There are 3, and I need to highlight these. I'm not following the agenda, by the way. And that is Pinal County Veterans Memorial Foundation. We've got, I know the board is here, we're building a memorial up at the rodeo grounds. If you drive by there, you're going to see a plywood sign. I hope it's not there for more than a year. We're almost there, guys. The second is the Ride for the Warrior. That group, and I'm not sure if they're here. Randy, are you here? There he is. So they put on the weekend, the Ride for the Warrior, raise funds. They donate that money to other veterans organizations. And the last is HOHP. That's Kim. She's in red right behind me. And when I heard that they were bringing the wall, I had mixed emotions. It's like, okay, I need to go up there, but I'm not sure if I can do that. It is the wall that heals, started to heal. They do a tremendous amount for veterans. Now, I know I've got a lot of Vietnam veterans here, and just like I was short timing 50 years ago, guys, we're short timing again. And I think what our purpose is, we cannot allow another veteran to come from a war and not be allowed to heal the day they put foot on American soil. That can never happen again. So part of what I think my mission is, why I'm here, is to help make sure that doesn't happen. So I'm just giving that to all of you. So if you can donate to these organizations especially, this is unique to Pinal County and the fantastic people. The other thing I want to tell you, none of them are veterans that lead it. That makes me feel good. I once thought, where were they when I got off that plane? But they were meant to be here now. So I'm going to cut it short. And it's been 50 years. My name is Robert L. Souza. I was a sergeant with the 1st Field Force. And I am very proud to serve with you veterans, and especially those veterans and my men 50 years ago. Thank you.
Next, I would like to introduce the Casa Grande Union Marine Corps JROTC. They are going to be performing the POW MIA table ceremony. And along with that, there will be Mr. El Gramando. He will be reading names from the Army. Cam Drysdale will be reading names from the Navy. And Ronnie Smith from the Marines. So I'd like to introduce them and have them come forward, please.
Good morning. I'm Cadet Sergeant Ritchie of the CGUHS MCJROTC program. I just want to thank everyone for being here, and we really appreciate having the opportunity to show everyone this beautiful ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the center of our gathering. The table before you is for our prisoners of war and those missing in action from all conflicts and wars of the United States of America. And on this day, in front of this wall, to also remember those killed in action during the Vietnam conflict. They are not with us today, but saved for their hoped return. Let us remember their absence. The table, when properly set, is filled with symbolism. I will explain. This table is small. It is round to show our everlasting concern. The tablecloth is white, symbolic of the purity of their intentions, to respond to their country's call to arms, so that their fellow countrymen and families could remain free. The setting is for one, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner alone against his or her suppressors. Remember, the single red rose in the vase signifies the blood they may have shed in sacrifice to ensure the freedom of our beloved United States of America. This rose also reminds us of the family and friends of our missing comrades who keep the faith while awaiting their return. Remember, the red ribbon, tied so prominently on the vase, represents the red ribbons worn on the lapels of thousands who demand with unyielding determination a proper accounting of our comrades who are not among us today. Remember, a slice of lemon. A slice of lemon on the plate reminds us of their bitter fate. Remember, the salt on the plate reminds us of the countless fallen tears of families as they wait. Remember, the glass. The glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us this day. Remember, the chair. The chair is empty. They are not here. Remember, the Bible represents the strength gained through our faith in our country, founded as one nation under God to sustain those lost from our midst. Remember, the lone candle symbolizes the frailty of a prisoner alone, trying to stand up against his or her oppressors. It is reminiscent of the light of hope, which lives in our hearts to illuminate their way home, away from their captors, to the open arms of a grateful nation. Remember, let us pray that all our comrades will soon be back within our ranks. Remember, all of you who served with them and called them comrades, who depended upon their might and aid and relied upon them, for surely they have not forsaken you. Let us remember and never forget their sacrifices. At this time, we will honor those men and women who may still be prisoners of war or missing in action from the armed services of the United States. The names of the POW, MIA, and KIA from Pinal County and Gila County and served in Vietnam will be read as their specific service is recognized. Let us recognize the POW MIA KIAs of the United States Army, honored by Cadet Sergeant Conant.
Orrin L. Allred, 3E. Dudney N. Arlentino, 31E. Mark A. Bateman, 27E. Sisto B. Bojorquez, 34E. William L. Cates, 30E. John Cole, 7W. Tom Galvez, 65W. Juan M. Garcia, 30E. Larry R. Garcia, 10W. Leroy Hopkins Jr., 28E. Jerry A. Hurd, 39E. Daryl L. Lutrick, 42W. Harold J. Marietta, 5E. Salvador J. Mendez, 47W. Albert M. Mendoza, 28W. Russell K. Ogden, 39W. David D. Perkins, 11E. P. Pete Jr., 65W. Robert L. Romero, 23W. Jeffrey R. Sexton, 22E. And John M. Turner, 28W.
Let us recognize. The cadet will now place the flag on the table. Remember, let us recognize the POW MIA KIAs of the United States Navy, honored by Cadet Lance Corporal DePadre.
Donald R. Ellis, 20E. Gary E. Graves, 39W. Guadalupe Rendon, 21E. James A. Lee, 11E.
Remember, let us recognize the POW MIA KIAs of the United States Marine Corps, honored by Cadet Lance Corporal Padilla.
Pinal County Marines, remember their sacrifices. Roy G. Dorset, 54 West. Patrick P. Francisco, 18 East. Leonard E. Fritz, 30 East. Arthur M. Garcia Jr., 14 West. Clinton M. Galt Jr., 40 West. Alan W. Ingram, 42 West. Jose F. Mez, 18 West. Gerald R. Jones, 17 West. William W. Patterson, 17 East. James C. Simmons, 43 West. Jose M. Vasquez, 20 East. Manuel G. Yabera, 25 East. Gila County Marines, remember their sacrifice. Paul F. Sanchez, Philip W. Tompkins, I just want to say one more word. Joe Vasquez, he went to high school in Coolidge. I want to say thank you to him, thank you to his family, Julio, Ray, everyone that sacrificed, everyone on the wall, all of you today that are here that have sacrificed your loved ones, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Remember, let us recognize the POW, MIA, KIAs of the United States Air Force, honored by Cadet Corporal Tellez. Remember, let us recognize the POW, MIA, KIAs of the United States Coast Guard, honored by Cadet Lance Corporal Fisher. Remember, as we look upon this empty table, do not remember ghosts from the past. Remember our comrades. Remember those whom we depended on in battle. They depend on us to bring them home. Remember,
thank you.
Casa Grande, JROTC. Yeah. We did an event last week, and it was last Saturday, I believe it was, in Apache Junction, and they did the Remember table there. And I made a comment, and I truly, me standing over here, believe it, I'm glad I got little dark glasses. Since I retired in 2001 from the Army, I've been to many, many events, and the POW MIA table it's a heart. It tears at your heart, and each piece it just tears. So I'd ask you, please, one more time, please give a good round of applause to our junior ROTC cadets. And to Mr. Al Germando, and to Ronnie Smith, and Mr. Drysdale, please. We are now going to, this portion of it is we are going to be what they call the pinning ceremony. So we would like to invite all Vietnam era veterans, in which we want to say thank you. This is the 50th commemoration, 50th year, and this commemoration did not last just 1 year. It's been going on, and it will go on for a few more years. But the Vietnam, we especially thank our people who served in Vietnam, but we have to remember and we have to thank those era veterans that were in other countries or that were at home, that were supplying. You know, the Army needs a lot of people, and the military needs a lot of people to do different things. So we want all them to be recognized. So if you would please, Vietnam era veterans, would you please come forward? Yeah, if we can just get a couple lines here. We have about 4 individuals that will be presenting the pins to you, and we appreciate this. And I always start this with saying this. On behalf of a grateful nation, thank you for your service and your sacrifice.
What I'd like to do right now is tell you guys a little bit about the In Memory program. This journey with the wall has been something very special for me. They came home, they got ill from Agent Orange, being sprayed by Agent Orange, several illnesses. And the In Memory program is something that you can submit their DD-214 and their death certificate, and each year they make a yearbook, a roll call for all of the names that were submitted, and they are honored every year in June in Washington, D.C., and they become part of the roll call. And when you guys go over to the trailer today, you will see the Pinal County and Gila County that have already been submitted. So if you're interested in that, submitting somebody's name from your family or a friend, there are pamphlets over in the education trailer. or you can research it online, but they should never be forgotten. They served, they came home, but they brought Vietnam with them, and they're not with us today, but they still need to be remembered and honored. So please, if you have the opportunity to do that, please get them in the In Memory program. At this time, I would like to say thank you to all of our sponsors. This has been a long journey from last summer to now. And on Tuesday, when we did the escort into Pinal County, we had almost 300 bikes from Eloy to Casa Grande bring this beautiful memorial into our county. So I'd like to get a round of applause for all of the escort riders. Our prestige level sponsors: Arizona State Prison Iman Unit, Elks Lodge, Casa Grande, 1957, City of Casa Grande, City of Eloy, City of Maricopa, VFW Post 1677, Casa Grande, Mr. Robert L. Sousa, VFW Riders, Picacho Peak, Professional Firefighters of Casa Grande, 3752, Casa Grande Fire Department Honor Guard, and HOHP. Let's give the prestige a round of applause. Our gold level sponsors: American Legion Riders Post 8, DAV, Disabled American Veterans of Pinal County, American Legion Auxiliary Coolidge, VFW Auxiliary Casa Grande, Ride for the Warrior, Mr. and Mrs. Michael McBride, Mr. and Mrs. Joel Vandenberg, VFW Post 12043 of Maricopa, the Pinal Hispanic Council, and the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association. Let's give them a round of applause. The silver level, Garrett Motors, Coolidge, Arizona. Round of applause. Our bronze donors: Tag's Restaurant in Coolidge, American Legion Post 9 in Florence, the Lions Club of Casa Grande, the Daughters of the American Revolution, Casa Grande, Steve Miller, and Mr. and Mrs. Richard Vitiello. Let's give them a round of applause. I'd like to say thank you to the Wall That Heals team, and I can tell you the first meeting just totally blew my mind, because when I walked through the door, I can tell you almost every city in this county was sitting at the table to help us prepare and get ready. We met almost every single week, and they made me cry because I didn't know who was going to walk through that door and say, let's get busy and get this wall here to Pinal County. But I am so thankful for the team that we had, all of our leads. I'd also like to say thank you to all of the color guards. We have been changing the flag several times a day because all of the sponsors that helped us raise $10,000 to bring this beautiful tribute to those that paid the ultimate sacrifice. They helped us raise the money. And I'm so thankful that we were able to do that and accomplish it, because we were second on the list and we had like 60 days to get $10,000 raised. But without these sponsors, it wouldn't happen. But thank you guys so much for helping us raise that money. Next, we're going to ask Steve and Oscar to sing Águila Negra. I'd like to call Mr. Paul Clinton forward to do the closing prayer. Paul is part of My Brother's Keeper that does helps with the ceremonies at the Marana Veterans Park.
Please bear with me. I want to say one thing today for my generation, the young people that served GRC in the back. It is our job, it is our responsibility to carry on what we're supposed to do. The names on the wall behind us. I have family members there. My Uncle Richard, I lost in 2000 at Agent Orange. It is our job to keep fighting and carrying on for our brothers and sisters. Vietnam, to me, was treated wrong at the end. I want to tell all of you, and my brother Halfcook back there knows what I'm saying. Welcome home. We love you. We appreciate everything that you did, everything that you sacrificed. Thank you. Almighty above, we ask you to watch over all of our Vietnam veteran brothers and sisters that are still here with us today, to watch over them. We ask you to give them the strength, if they need it, to call on us to help them and support them. We lose too many a day. We ask you to keep them safe, keep us safe. We thank you for the beautiful weather and the sunshine that you provided us so we can enjoy the time that we get to be here with them and the time that we get to hear their stories, because it's not all bad. There is a lot of good, and we ask you to watch over us. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. Right now, we're going to have our bagpipers from Maricopa American Legion play Amazing Grace. I just wanted to say thank you guys for coming out today. I am so honored to see all of your faces here. Yes, this program took 2 hours, but you guys deserve everything that our country can give to you. Welcome home. God bless you. And please enjoy walking through the wall, rub the names off, visit the Education Center, and thank you to everybody who helped us put this wall out here today and have worked on it every single day since Tuesday. Have a good day. Thank you.